Good afternoon, Chairman Schatz and Vice Chairwoman Murkowski and other esteemed members of this committee. My name is Mark Mitchell. I'm a former governor for the Pueblo of Tesuque and currently the chairman of the All Pueblo Council of Governors. Thank you for inviting me to speak today on behalf of the Pueblos and the Greater Southwest. We are delighted to see that this Congress bipartisan commitment to Indian country has manifested into sweeping investments in infrastructure that will begin to transform this nation. First, we would like to offer some global remarks about bipartisan infrastructure law. This law is more than 1,000 pages long. We need the federal government to improve the technical support to tribes and pueblos as we set out to navigate the funding opportunities available through the bipartisan infrastructure law. Secondly, cost match requirements constitutes additional obstacles to access these desperately needed funds. Third, tribes must have the broad discretion to decide the best use of funds in our communities and in the country. It is best served through non-competitive grants. Fourth, the federal government must maximize its flexibility to utilize existing funding mechanisms to expedite distributions and ensure that the distributions are made on base needed. Finally, we call on the federal government to research for ways to help us leverage programs and fundings throughout this bipartisan infrastructure law. Fundamental to this, we need the federal government to move in to lockstep to contemporaneously roll out these programs and streamline application procedures so that we can effectively plan and allocate resources and pair program dollars to enhance our project goals. Sanitation and water infrastructure needs. We look forward to the opportunity afforded by the bipartisan infrastructure laws investments in rural sanitation and water infrastructure. As you know, water projects are fundamentally important to the Southwest. We need to address our aging water systems, including third world water ponds that many of our pueblos and tribes continue to be subjected to. We need to establish strong regional water infrastructure now to help us safeguard our communities from certain water insecurities and the health impacts associated with the aging water system. The Pueblo irrigation systems are also among the oldest in this nation. A 2017 report entitled Irrigation Infrastructure Report for the Rio Grande Pueblos was completed. We need this committee to encourage the Department of the Interior to sign and release the report, as well as appropriations necessary fundings to support the report findings and recommendations. These investments in water systems will also help us sustain our lifeways, mitigate the increasing wildfires. These wildfires are now common in our region and threaten our sacred landscape. Climate change. We applaud Congress's action to secure $216 million for tribal climate resiliency, adaptation, mitigation, and community relocation efforts, but you must know that this is not nearly enough. Pueblos are situated in the hottest and driest region of the country. Because of climate change, we are already facing hotter and more intense and more frequent fires in our region. We cannot afford for climate to get hotter, or our traditional homelands will become incapable of human support. We implore you to take further actions to fight global warming and sustain harvests in our communities, which are guaranteed to face the daily consequences of climate change. The bill of $500 million for community wildlife fire defense programs is much needed investments for our community, and we eagerly await this rollout. Broadband. As you know, broadband, the pandemic highlighted how fundamental access to reliable high-speed internet is for all of us. The bill sustained investment in broadband, if harnessed correctly, has the power to finally permit Indian country to catch up to the rest of the nation and to close the digital divide. We note that the bill provisions alone will channel 2 billion to tribal governments for broadband deployment. However, the first round of tribal connectivity broadband funding only about 1 billion worth of projects despite more than 5.8 billion worth of requests. Conservatively, the Indian country still needs an additional 3 billion to invest in broadband, assessing for the inflation. Finally, we stress that tribal governments must retain certain authority over projects intended to serve Indian country, and we also urge the states to collaborate and consult with the Pueblos and tribes for the state-led projects over tribal land holdings. Transportation. We look forward to the funding for repairing and maintaining our roads, bridges, bike and pedestrian infrastructure, and transportation funds dedicated to improve our children's commutes to and from school. We are also excited about the bill's investments in the electronic vehicles charging networks, particularly in rural communities. As one of the sunniest regions in this country, we see the tremendous potential of stimulating our economy through this program. As a final note, we would like to encourage the federal government to move away from funding tribal governments out of appropriations from the general fund. Frequently, tribal programs are authorized, but funding are never appropriated. Indian country deserves more than such hollow promises. In conclusion, again, I would like to thank all of you for the opportunity to testify before you today. I look forward to working with you and to ensure that all of the needs of Indian country are met. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman Mitchell. Mr. Frazier, please proceed.